There's new hope for people living with uterine fibroids in Alberta. Doctors at the Misericordia Hospital are the first in the province to use Acessa, a new, less invasive technology. It can sometimes treat debilitating symptoms like fatigue, heavy bleeding, and constant pain. Tanya Duran lived with some of those symptoms for more than 5 years before she was able to have the Acessa procedure. So Dana, how common are uterine fibroids?
Uterine fibroids are very common. About 70% of women are affected with uterine fibroids under the age of 50. They can cause severe symptoms like bleeding, pressure, pain. There are other symptoms like bladder dysfunction, problems with bowel movements, and that can even affect fertility.
And Tanya, how did uterine fibroids affect your life?
I certainly suffered with that fatigue and the constant pain, and then just the quality of life issues like being woken up at night, having to get up to go to the washroom.
So traditionally, fibroids can be treated with medication. And then the surgical options in the past have been either a myomectomy, where we cut through the uterus, shell the fibroid out, leave the uterus behind, or a full hysterectomy, where we remove the uterus with the fibroids inside.
And that is was the most common way,
Typically,
right?
I'd say that would be the most common. It's also the most invasive way to treat it, yes.
And for you, Tanya, what made you want to be treated with Acessa then?
The first one is that it was less invasive. It really, for me, talked about retaining my uterus as well and ensuring that, I got to keep that piece of me, and not for any reason other than, it is a piece of me. And this certainly seemed like a better alternative with, a 95% success rate, less downtime, and really minimally invasive for the most part compared to other options.
So it involves laparoscopic ultrasound where we map the fibroids inside the uterus.
Okay.
And then we use an ablation device that enters the uterus and burns the fibroids. So it basically causes cell death and destruction of the fibroid tissue while leaving the remaining uterine tissue intact. So compared to like a hysterectomy, it's much less invasive. Yeah. Smaller incisions, less bleeding, less complications, less scar tissue after surgery. But one of the biggest things is really a faster recovery. So patients go home that same day, and most of my patients are back to their day-to-day living, including going back to work after 2 weeks, compared to 6+ weeks after a hysterectomy.
It's really fantastic to be able to have it offered, locally, and to be able to offer it, through our healthcare system, and to have surgeons available right here in Edmonton.